Hello, my people. I hope that you are well. Welcome to another episode of The Accounting Officer. Before anything else, colleagues, let me start by saying Happy New Year, Happy 2026. I hope that, like the accounting officer, you also had a wonderful festive season. You are well rested and you are well ready to start this 2026 on a high note. I know that we are recording this thing somewhere in February, but let's face it, January was just there for all of us to rest. We are now in February. We should be grinding towards the year. So, colleagues, as we always do in our episodes, let me start by acknowledging your feedback online. We see your comments. We are putting together an episode just specifically to answer the comments. And if it's not an episode specifically to answer the comments, it would be an episode that addresses some of your comments that we have posted online. I still encourage colleagues that continue interacting with us online, especially from the colleagues who are in practice. I think your input is very much valuable, colleagues, because you know these things in practice, and it would assist us in making proper interpretations of the compliance framework. Now, colleagues, this year we are planning to be more frequent on dropping episodes. I know that last year there was a time where we took a break, especially for my studies. But in the current year, we are planning to drop more episodes. Every second Sunday, we will be dropping an episode. So that would mean that in the current year, we will drop about 20 or 26 episodes for you for the current year. So every second Sunday, as I said, we're dropping an episode. This one might drop on a Monday, but following this one, we will skip one Sunday and then we start dropping episodes. So this is just to encourage you, colleagues. Please, I beg you to subscribe to our channels, TikTok, YouTube, Accounting Officer on Facebook and Instagram. I actually noticed that our TikTok is actually growing faster than our YouTube. We do wish that the subscriptions would increase on YouTube as well. It would mean a lot to this channel, colleagues. It would mean a lot to me as well, so that maybe I can start having a team for this channel. At the moment, it's still a solo project. I'm the cameraman, I'm the director, I'm the sound engineer, I'm just everything in this channel. So the more you subscribe to us, the more we will be able to afford having a team working with us across all the different skills that are needed to keep this channel going. So just a reminder, on social media, Facebook and Instagram, we are Accounting Officer. YouTube, it's the Accounting Officer. TikTok, it's the Accounting Officer SA. I do encourage you, colleagues, to follow and subscribe to our channels. So before we start this episode, I would like to also acknowledge our sponsor for the show, which is Amampemvu Holdings, which is an affiliate of the Accounting Officer channel. Basically, it owns the Accounting Officer channel. Amampemvu Holdings are a team of registered government auditors who are happy to service you anywhere across South Africa. Their services include advisory and training on topics like your public finance compliance. That would be your PFMA, MFMA, National Treasury regulations, supply chain and other legislation and guides that are available in the space of public finance management. They also assist on accounting frameworks, maybe research on interpretation of certain accounting standards, or if there's a new accounting standard and you are not sure how to go about around it, they will assist you in that as well, whether the framework is IFRS, SCRAP, or any other framework that is available in the public sector, like your modified cash standard. Another service they provide is policy alignment with the legislative requirements. If you are developing a framework, Amampemvu Holdings is here to assist you to make sure that that policy is aligned with the legislative requirements or the legislative framework. Another important service category that they do is audit management and support. So this would mean that if you're having auditors that are there, the group can assist you with the facilitations of requests for information, helping you interpret what exactly the auditors want and why they want it. Also, guidance on responding to audit findings. If you are finding yourself having audit findings, you are not sure how to deal with those audit findings, the group can assist you on how to respond to those audit findings. They can also assist you on development of audit action plans. After an audit, there's maybe findings that you are unsure on how to deal with or how to tighten your internal controls. The group will assist you in developing an audit action plan to deal with those audit findings to stop them from reoccurring in the future. And also the group has resources that are available to capacitate any internal audit department that requires resources, especially in the public sector. We do have resources available that could assist your internal audit department. So if you want to be in contact with Amampemvu Holdings, their email address is amampemvuholdings@outlook.com. In the following episodes, we will give you a registered number for the group. So just to recap, colleagues, I know we last spoke last year. We have posted I think about 5 or 6 episodes currently online. But just to recap on the previous 3 episodes, basically those episodes were just on procurement. So since we started this procurement series, we've uploaded episodes on supply chain introduction, where all of this legislation for supply chain is coming from. We also spoke about the quotation process. We also spoke about the competitive bidding process, and also spoke about the deviations process. So I encourage you, colleagues, those were our last 3 episodes. Should you be interested, please go watch those episodes, because this episode that we are bringing today will be building up on those episodes, basically enhancing the supply chain process that is already there and addressed by those episodes. So the big thing about today is that we will be talking about the Preferential Procurement Policy Framework and its regulations. It's such a short framework, colleagues. There's nothing much on it, but it has a lot of valuable things that need to be considered when we are having a procurement process. So this framework, colleagues, is applicable to all organs of state, whether it's a national department or a provincial department, as they are defined in the PFMA, the municipalities as contemplated in the Constitution, so municipalities and their entities, and also constitutional institutions as defined in the PFMA, Parliament and provincial legislatures, or any other institution or category of institutions included in the organ of state per section 239 of the Constitution. So basically, this framework is applicable across. So as I said, today we're speaking about the Preferential Procurement Policy Framework Act and its regulations. So one would ask, where does this act come from? So just to give you a background, on episode 3, we touched on the basis of public sector procurement laws, in the basis where they were developed. We touched on section 217 on the Constitution. We intentionally stuck to 2171 of the Constitution, which focused on the attributes of fairness, equitable, transparency, and cost-effective procurement process. Today, we wish to introduce the section 2172 of the Constitution. We did not ignore this part of the section, colleagues, but we were building up to it. We needed to make sure that the foundations are there. So section 217 also has a subsection, which is subsection 2 in the Constitution, which touches on the development of a procurement policy that provides for categories of preference in the allocation of contracts, and also the protection or advancement of persons or categories of persons disadvantaged by unfair discrimination. Before you start reading any act, colleagues, and before you start understanding any act, it's important to also look at the definitions on the acts, even the regulations. Look at the definitions there that they have listed. I know that in this act, on section 1, the definitions are there together on their regulations. I think on regulation 1, if my memory serves me correct, the definitions are there. Unfortunately, I won't be reading the definitions, colleagues, but I encourage you to go and read, go and understand them so that you understand the aspects of this act. So when we touched on the constitutional passage that gives life to this act, colleagues, we touched on a preferential point system that should be used to allocate contracts. So section 1 of the act introduces this preference system. For those who have been watching the episodes, we've touched on this when we spoke about the invitation to bids on episode 3 and 4. So we mentioned that the system is a 90-10 or an 80-20 point system. Those who remember, the 90-10 applies to contracts that are above 50 million, while the 80-20 applies to contracts that are below 15 million. That would be including all applicable taxes, so it includes VAT and all other costs, so the total contract value. So if you do remember, if we're talking about 90-10, the 90 out of the 10 would be relating to the price, while the 10 would be speaking to specific goals, a topic that we will be touching a lot in this episode. The 80-20 as well uses the same system, 80 being the price, points allocation, and then the 20 being the specific goals. So when you submit a bid, colleagues, it's important to understand when you submit a bid and you put a price to it, the price will be considered when basically the evaluation is being made. Remember, government wants to save as much money as possible. So you will always be at an advantage if you have the lowest price. Chances are you might get a lot of points when it comes to the 90 or the 80. So section 1A and 1B of the Act further says that a contract with a certain rand value must be allocated 10 or 20 points for the specific goal element. These 80-20 or 90-10 should be included in the advert or in the invitation for tendering. We will touch on it shortly, colleagues. So the second aspect of the PPFA would be the specific goal. So the specific goal includes contracting with persons who were historically disadvantaged on the basis of unfair discrimination. So this could be historically disadvantaged in the form of race. Primarily, some people in the past in South Africa, due to apartheid laws, they were disadvantaged because of the color of their skin or because of the race that they are. So primarily it could be black people, colored people, and Indian South Africans who were disadvantaged as well by the apartheid laws. Also, the second aspect of the specific goal or historically disadvantaged people, the gender as well. The gender, it says women due to historical gender discriminations. As you might know, in our history, women were historically disadvantaged as well. You'd find that certain jobs can't be done by women. Women can't study certain degrees in university. For instance, certain jobs like engineering that is outside, or certain heavy lifting jobs, you'd find that they would say, no, woman can't do this job. So now this specific goal element is trying to encourage equality, whether it's on race or it's on women. So the third layer to it would be people who are unfairly discriminated because of their disabilities. You would find that there are people with permanent and physical, mental, or awareness disabilities that are unfairly discriminated. You'd find that this person is very smart and capable to do maybe an accounting job, but by the fact that this person is on wheelchair, we are already thinking, no, this person is not capable. So this specific goal element of this act is trying to bring in inclusivity of those people who are historically disadvantaged. So if we could jump on the regulations now that we've got our important definitions and the basis of this act. So regulation 3 of the regulation is saying an organ of state must in the tender document stipulate the following: a preference point system that will be applied, which is 80-20 or 90-10, the specific goal and how much points will be allocated to the specific goals. We have just mentioned this when we were basically analyzing the definitions, that in the tender invitation, it's regulated that this should be included. It should be stipulated that this contract will be an 80-20 or this contract will be a 90-10. If you are a smart bidder, when they say 80-20, you should just know you can't go above your 50 million in terms of your quotation. But if they say 90-10, it's free for all. You can go above the 50 million, or your minimum price should be at least 50 million. So if it is not clear which point system will be used, so again, when I say it's not clear whether they should use an 80-20 in the invitation or a 90-10 in the invitation, this also should be mentioned or stipulated in the tender document that either an 80-20 or a 90-10 will be used. So I know that maybe someone will ask, why would it not be clear? Colleagues, sometimes there's just a gray line, or there's just maybe the specifications are just unclear whether the price of this tender will go above 50 million or not. So the regulations are trying to cater for that. If it's unclear if the price will go above 50 million or not, we should just to be safe mention that either 80-20 or 90-10, one of them will be used when the evaluation is being made. So when the tenders or bids are accepted, and when the bids are accepted, there will be a checklist to check that every document is filled, like everything that needs to be there is there. So when they are accepted, the highest acceptable tender price will be used on deciding which point will be used, which point system will be used. So if the highest bid received is more than 50 million, then definitely the 90-10 system will be used. It will still not disadvantage the people who quoted less than 50 million. In fact, it might put them at a very high advantage to get the tender. So regulations 5, 6, and 7, as I said, do mention the 80-20 and 90-10 preference system. But what's important, what they introduce for us, is the formula to calculate allocation of points. So allocation of points could be allocation of points for the price, which is the 90 or 80 aspect, and allocation of points per the specific goal, which is your 80 or your 10 aspects. I will try and put this formula on screen, colleagues. You will see it. It's a mathematical formula that is used, but I would say some of the things that are important in the formula for you to understand the formula is that you should first understand which point system is being used. Is it 80-20 or 90-10? The second aspect to it is to identify the lowest price that is submitted, because the lowest price that is submitted will be the one used to allocate points. So what do we mean by this is that when it comes to the point allocation for price, if you have the lowest price, you will definitely get 100% of the points. And then all the others will be allocated points, apportioned points based on your lowest price. So it's important to identify the lowest price and also identify which point system is being used. Colleagues, for those who unclear about the math in making this calculation, you can just let me know. I can upload an Excel formula sheet online for you to download so that you just plug in the prices. So I will make sure that it's formula driven, that it identifies the lowest price. All you gotta do is just plug in the prices and then it will do the calculations for you. So let's make an example so that we understand this formula better. Unfortunately, I won't be going aspect by aspect on the formula. Let's say I've got about 4 suppliers here, supplier A, B, C, and D. They are all tendering for a certain bid. And let's say that this tender is below 50 million. So supplier A, for example, puts in 42 million for the bid. Supplier B puts in 40 million. Supplier C puts in 35 million. Supplier D puts in 38 million. As you can see, supplier C has the lowest price. Their lowest price is about 35 million compared to other suppliers. So now we need to identify which point system is being used. All these prices are below 50 million. Therefore, we'll be using the 80-20. And the second aspect that we need to identify is the lowest price that we've received. So we will put all of these prices in a formula. Definitely for sure, supplier C with their 35 million will get the total points. I will try and put this example on screen as well. As you can see on screen that supplier C got 35 million. In fact, they got the 80 points when it comes to the price. So that PS means the points received for the price. That PT, it means the prices that they have quoted. So supplier C gets the 80 points. Supplier D gets 73 points, which is the second highest. Supplier B with their 40 million bid gets 69 points. Supplier A gets 64 points. Let's also assume that for the specific goal, everyone ticked everything. The specific goal that was stipulated, maybe the specific goal was to give business to people with disabilities and to women-owned companies. Let's say all these companies are women-owned and all these women who own these companies are physically impaired or they are disabled. So you'd see that the 20 points are allocated to everyone. So let's also now total the points. You would see that supplier A with their 64 points plus the 20 specific goal points, they are getting 84 total points. And then supplier B with their 69 points plus 20, it's 89 points. Supplier C with the lowest price gets the full 80 points on price and then gets the full 20 points on specific goal, heading to 100. And then supplier D also following the same pattern, 73 plus 20 getting a 93. So sometimes, colleagues, you would find that there is a deadlock. Meaning, let's assume supplier C and D submitted the same price being that 35 million. You'd find that both of them are getting the full 80 points and both of them are getting the full 20 points for the specific goal. So this regulation 8 brings in guidance on how to break that deadlock. In fact, it's only giving 2 options, colleagues. That would be to give the award to the supplier with the highest specific goal points. So those specific goal points would be that 20 allocation. So whoever has the highest points there, they are the ones who are getting the tender. But in our case, both of them have the same points there. How do we deal with it? Colleagues, if you are hearing any background noises, I do apologize for that. I'm recording this during the day. There's a lot of deliveries that are happening. I'm seeing a checker scooter just passing by my place now. I do apologize for the background noise. So again, the second option would be, which is the funniest one, since they are both still equal, even on specific points, it would be awards can be awarded by drawing of lots. So for those who watch the UEFA Champions League, you know when the draw is happening, every team that has qualified for the next level is made present. So there would be a drawing of lots. Basically there would be a draw. So same in this case as well. It's not like we're just gonna put the names in a hat and then just pull it out. In principle, it's supposed to be like that. Whoever we pull out, they are the ones who are getting the tender. But I would believe that in the interest of fairness, as we've described procurement in the beginning, both bidders who are in deadlock would need to be present when the selection is being made. But if it's not the case with the policy, the process would still need to be fair in terms of drawing the bidder who is the one that we are going with. If they are not there present, the policy, the supply chain policy in the organ of state should still allow for fairness and transparency in the process, so that the not selected supplier, when they come in and want to understand how they were not selected, a proper process or a proper audit trail is given to them. So, as we about to conclude the regulations, colleagues, as those who might have read these regulations, it's very small, and especially after the court case of 2022, I think now we have about 9 or so regulations in this act, and then 10 and 11 are more administrative regulations. So regulation 9 now is coming to remedies. As you might know that some suppliers, especially for the specific goal, might falsify their information. So regulation 9 is there to remedy that situation. So it says remedies when an organ of state is of the view that a tenderer submitted false information regarding the specific goal. The following remedies will be applied. So the first thing to do that the organ of state can do is to inform the tenderer that, look, your information appears to be false. We are not sure of it. Doesn't look credible. Maybe they lied on the document and said they are Indian, whereas they are not Indian, or they lied and said they are disabled, whereas they are not disabled, or they lied and said they are a woman, whereas they are not women, or any specific goal that is put forward, they submit false information regarding that specific goal. So as I said, the organ of state needs to notify that tenderer. They need to also give them an opportunity to make representations within 14 days as to why they should not be disqualified in the supply chain process. Sometimes these things are discovered when a tender has already been awarded. The organ of state, even there, will still follow the same process, inform the supplier, and also give them 14 days as to why the tender or the contract should not be disqualified as a whole or part of it. So the next step would be to consider the representations made by the supplier or the tenderer. And it's also important, colleagues, to understand that this should be a formal investigation. It should be fair to the tenderer as well, as much as we are trying to derive fairness for the organ of state as well. So if it is so found that the tenderer actually submitted false information, even when they made their representations, they are not proving their point. The next two steps to follow would be to disqualify the tender if the award has not been yet made. So with disqualifying the bidder. But if the award has been made, it's to terminate the contract. The second aspect, if applicable, the organ of state should claim damages. This could be amounts that are already paid to the supplier or the tenderer. I know it might be argued that you still received the service and we made the payment, but first thing is first, you defrauded the organ of state. So monies would need to be recovered. So as I said, regulations 10 and 11 are more admin regulations, with regulation 10 just echoing the fact that if a tender was made prior to the new regulations, which were effective from the 16th of January 2023. So a tender was made using the 2017 version of the regulations. Therefore, that tender will still be assessed using those regulations. If the tender was made after January 2023, then it would follow the new regulations, the ones that we just discussed in this episode. The old ones, they did include a lot of, maybe not a lot of other things. There were other things like the pre-qualification criteria and all of those things. They did include those things. So, but these ones, they tried to trim the regulations and made them fair for everyone. So, colleagues, that's the long and short of it in terms of PPPFA regulations. The intentions for the PPPFA regulations is just to bring in equality and redress of the injustices of the past when it comes to business with government. So they are not there to sabotage anyone, but they are there to make sure that everyone gets a chance to work with the organs of state, and people are not just blocked because of certain aspects about themselves that they can't change. Colleagues, again, this is to thank you. Thank you for watching this episode. If you've watched until now, thank you so much for watching this episode. We still do encourage the comments, colleagues. They keep us on our toes. They help us make sure that we still provide quality content for you. We encourage those comments. Please share our posts when we share them on social media, especially Facebook and Instagram. Repost them on TikTok. If you can, in your post, also put the link to the full video on YouTube. We still encourage subscriptions on YouTube, colleagues. We would appreciate if we would have more subscribers on YouTube. This again will help us grow as a channel. Colleagues, I wish to say happy 2026. It's gonna be a great year. I can feel it. It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good year for you as well. Put in the hard work, believe in the power of suddenness and the blessing of the Lord, or whatever you are believing in. It's gonna be a good year. Thank you so much. Sharp, sharp.